Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com and Fro Nation. Welcome to another episode of FroKnowsPhoto RAWtalk. This week it's number 36, and we've got a show for you, like we have a show for you quite often. I had an interesting week. Shot the D7100. That was good. Steven's going to come up with some news shortly. We're going to find out what he's been doing. We've got some Rode microphone to talk about, and we have your flying solo. But there's a lot of stuff in between that we're going to discuss because it is really, it's been a fun week. It's been packed with a lot of news. So Pluggy McPluggerson time. You know, don't skip by the Pluggy McPluggersons. Just something simple here. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes because you get the audio a day early. It gets sent to you automatically. We try to release them when we have new videos. Mondays at noon is when they go live, so that will automatically be sent to your phone if you are on iTunes. Also, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so you can get all the latest videos. Be sure to subscribe for the notifications so that you get notified when a new video goes live. And don't forget about the Chicago Boot Camp, which is coming up on June 15th of 2013. As long as we get enough people to sign up, we still need a few more. And if we do get those, then we will be heading to Chicago to do a free photo walk and a boot camp. So, Steven's been doing photo news for a couple weeks now.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
I'm liking it, and I know people out there are liking it, but we didn't really establish who the hell you are. I know we've had you on before, but Steven and I think I've said this before, met in the photo pit. Mm-hmm. He works over at Radio 1045. He's done front of house for how many bands?
I would say probably about 200 plus bands easily. It's been the past 4 years or so.
Oh, I know you did Fun, because I was there that day. What are some of the other big bands?
We had Paramore, Phoenix, Dropkick Murphys, 30 Seconds to Mars.
So bands that come into the station, you are doing front of the house because you have an audio background.
Yes.
So not only do you have an audio background, you've got a video background, and you have a photo background, and better than anything, you shoot Canon.
Yes, yeah.
I like the fact that you shoot Canon because it gives us both ends of it. You've got Canon, I've got Nikon. We can cover all angles.
That's true.
So that's what I like. And we're going to get Steven's work. We're going to do a video where he gives me his work, and we're going to put it up on the site so that you can see the photos that he's capturing. You know what upsets me sometimes when I'm shooting with Steven?
What?
Do you know what upsets me, Steven?
What?
When you get the same exact picture as I get. The funny thing is, we've done that. We look in the pit. He's like, oh, I got the same angle, which is great because we have a very similar shooting style. So it doesn't make me upset. I don't get angry about that. I think it's funny that we get similar images. Even when you were shooting with your 7D, we were getting similar images. You know, we were shooting this weekend. We shot Radio 1045 birthday show.
Sixth birthday show.
Sixth birthday show at the Susquehanna Bank Center in Camden, beautiful Camden, New Jersey. Lots of bands playing. I thought 21 Pilots stole the show a
Incredible.
little bit.
They're so good.
They were really, really good. I would love to have shot the whole show. Steven had permission to shoot the whole show. I did not. There's a certain person that doesn't love me enough over there. I only asked her out once. I didn't even try to sleep with her yet, but I hope she's listening. Then she'd know who she is. You know who you are. I don't think she knows who she is. She may know who she is. But anyway, I was in the pit with Fusco also. We hung out a lot because he was editing his images. But what was great is we would turn to each other. I go, what are your settings? He's like, 2500 ISO, 500th of a second at 3.2. I'm like, me too. It's just
I think you asked me too the one time what they were, and they were exact matching for, I think, Paramore, one of the bands that
which is pretty cool that we are on the same page in manual shooting that stuff.
And that's also Canon versus Nikon too. I
mean,
the sensitivity difference is always a little different with the ISO, I feel like.
A little bit, but it's still going to be pretty darn similar.
Yeah.
And I had a great time shooting. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I know you haven't
21
edited.
Pilots killed it. Paramore, incredible.
Dude, when she came out,
such a good show.
I mean, Fusco has never shot Paramore, I don't think. And I looked at him and he was like, oh, this. I was like, yeah. I'm like, she's performing her ass off for the first 3 songs. I don't know what she did after that. You shot more than that.
No. Paramore was the only band that I couldn't shoot the whole set.
Oh, and by the way, when I posted about the contract thing we had to sign, they actually waived it. We didn't need to sign it.
Yeah.
So you saw one of my images was up on billboard.com. And
great image.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was great. She came in front of me, well, not literally, but she came in front of me and she was like, for all you people who are listening, she did this thing with her legs. She was like, she did this sultry seductress thing. And I was right there. And I shot with the D7100 all day, except for when I shot 27 pictures with the F5 left the D4 at home, and she did this thing, and I was like right there with the 14 to 24, and boom, we'll talk about the D7100 later on how it worked during the show, because I have that as a segment. Cool. So yeah, let's move into some photo news, Steven.
Let's start it off with a man in Idaho apparently found an original Ansel Adams photograph from 1917, which he found at an estate sale.
A photo or like a negative?
A photo.
An actual hand-printed
photo, I believe, yeah.
Right.
It was framed and everything. And basically, he found it in like apparently a batch of pictures and frames and all that stuff. It was sitting in the corner, and he's like, oh, let me check them out, blah, blah, blah. And it was an original Ansel Adams. Now, he at first thought it wasn't because the autograph on the back of it didn't match the most updated autograph that Ansel Adams put out.
Signature, I mean,
not autograph. But it's because it was one of the first pictures that he ever took. It was of Yosemite's El Capitan back in 1917 when he was like 15 or 16. And apparently this photograph is worth like a ton.
Well, yeah,
everyone's trying to get it right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty darn cool that it's something that old. And I love how things get discovered all the time. Still,
yeah,
you never know who has what, and just don't.
So if you're at a garage sale, check it out. Check out if they got some pictures or something or whatever it may be. Yep. You never know, you'll find a gem. Also, some funny news, I guess, for you. A chimpanzee named Mikki, Mikki, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but
where are they located?
I think somewhere in like Russia or something. Don't quote me on it, but somewhere not around here.
We'll go with Mikki.
Mikki sounds good. But they trained him. People trained him to photograph.
What camera?
Via a Polaroid camera first, which he learned very easily apparently. And then they switched him to a analog large format camera from back in the day with the handheld
the plunger
releases. Yeah, the plunger pretty much. And he took like 18 to 20 pictures and he ended up getting into it and all that kind of stuff. And now those pictures, a gallery of like 18 pictures or so, are being auctioned off, and critics and experts are saying that it's going to be around $100,000 that they're going to sell for. And these pictures are literally out of focus, terrible composition. But obviously, the monkey doesn't know what he's taking pictures of.
But the monkey took the pictures. It's like selling Coco's art.
Yeah.
And by the way, all the photo news, you can check it out on FroKnowsPhoto.com/podcast. That's where this photo news is. And there's on the front page is a box at the bottom that is dedicated to just photo news. You can go there, and that will aggregate all of the news that we put up on the site.
Yep. And then a behind-the-scenes video, someone tied a GoPro to the spire of the One World Trade Center when it was going up to complete the 1,776 feet height that it had to reach. They mounted a GoPro on there, so it's pretty cool. You can see it as it's going up to, what is that, like the tallest building in the U.S. right now or something like that?
Yeah, it's going to be the tallest in the U.S.
Yeah, not in the world, because Dubai still owns that.
The Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, is it?
Used to be called the Burj Dubai, and then now it's the Burj,
which is insanely tall.
Oh, it's
and awesome looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool video, just them mounting it on and then just slowly rising up to the top of the America's biggest building in the world right now.
No, America's biggest building, not in the world. Just
America's biggest building, yeah.
It's all good.
Moving on to some Canon news.
Yeah, it seems like there was a lot of Canon news. We got, 3 Canon stories?
3 big stories.
All right, what do we got?
3 huge stories, actually. Well, one really huge story. I'll start off with Canon released their long-rumored 200 to 400 millimeter f4 IS lens.
See, first off, it wasn't long-rumored. The reason why?
Well, no.
No. The reason why is they announced 2 years ago that they were working on a 200 to 400. So it really wasn't rumored. It's just they knew they were working on it.
Yeah.
So they have that out.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead. Keep going into that.
But anyway, it has a built-in 1.4 teleconverter, which is pretty awesome. It's what, $11,799.
$799 piece of glass. That's a couple $1,000s more than what the 200 to 400 is on the Nikon. But from what I've heard from people who have used it for a while, is that it's fantastic. I mean, of course it's going to be fantastic. It's an L lens. Somebody asked that, will the quality go down when you put in the 1.4 teleconverter? And the answer is, from what they say, they use the same glass formula in both lenses. So in the lens and the teleconverter, which is paired optically, meaning it's the same glass, that you shouldn't really have a lot of loss in quality. You still will go to 5.6. You still are losing a little bit of light, but it was designed all together. So it's not like you're adding another optical, an external 1.4 converter after the fact. Like it was paired with this. So it's meant to be used in conjunction. So you just flick a switch, you get your 560 millimeter f.
That's crazy.
5.6. hey, it's a great lens for sports shooters. You're going to see pros use it. You're going to see people out in Africa shooting animals with it. You're going to photographing animals with it. You're going to see sports photographers, the Getty Images, the Sports Illustrateds, the National Geographics, the people that can afford it, the people that spend every day of their life making money as a full-time working photographer. Those are the people that can have it. Anybody else that's going to complain about price, you just, if you complain about price or you're worried about it, you're not going to own it.
Yeah,
right.
You're not going to get
it.
it.
And it's not a knock against people for that. It's just that's the nature of the beast. It's the type of tool that allows somebody to do their job better. Mm-hmm. Without that, they're not doing the job as good as they could.
And you're not constantly changing lenses. I mean, once you hit 200 mark, you're pretty much got everything covered up to 560. So that's almost everything.
You're replacing 3 huge lenses.
Yeah.
You're replacing
300
2.8, even down the 200, 70 to 200 2.8. But you're not going to 70 200. You got your 200, your 300, the 400 f 2.8, the 500 f4, and the 600. You're close to the 600 f4. But that's pretty cool.
Can you imagine if they made it a 2.8? How big this thing and how much? How big it would be?
It would be the size of this table. Well,
it's like that Sigma.
Sigma has a 200 to 500 and
bazooka looking one.
Well, they said that I can come ride it if I go up to Rancocoma. Yeah, because it's in Rancocoma, New York. And I could ride it because I said I want to like ride it like a cowboy. But that lens has its own external battery pack to handle the zooming. That's big. I mean, that's like insane. This open, and that's the size of a basketball, I would say, for the people listening at home. Yeah.
And that's like $25,000, right? Though that one's.
I think it's more than that.
I thought it was around that price.
I think it's like $48,000 if I was to guess. All right, what's next?
Next up, Canon also released a new picture style, which I don't think they've done a new picture style in forever, on their EOS DSLR lineup. So pretty much any DSLR that you get, you should be able to upgrade to this on their website. It's called the Video Camera X Series Look. Not sure why they didn't just call it X or something simple like that. But it basically enables low contrast, low saturation, gives you more of a flat image. And it also, they're comparing it to Technicolor's CineStyle, which is a custom picture style that you can download online that a lot of filmmakers do. And also Marvel's Cine, which again, most filmmakers use those
So
too.
it gives you a flatter image so that you can correct it later?
Yep. So you get more dynamic range, you have less contrast, and you can really work with the image for color grading, stuff like that in post.
But it's still not RAW.
It's still not RAW now. But moving into the next story, good segue.
Hey, I'm good at that.
Magic Lantern has officially cracked the 5D Mark III for Canon and released a new firmware which enables it to shoot 14-bit RAW video.
And when you say RAW, that means it's taking individual frames.
Exactly.
And then you tweak every individual frame to get better dynamic range, just to do what we do with our RAW files. It's pretty insane to have the ability to shoot RAW video, but what's the downside?
Well, right now, apparently it's not very stable. There's not a public release out. There's only an alpha release out. So if you're really confident that you'll do it right and you'll download it right and you'll use it right, and you don't think your camera's going to be a brick, then I would try it, but I wouldn't try it just yet.
But you're also left with huge files because everyone's RAW. It's like having a RAW image every 24 frames a second.
It's 24 frames in 1 second, so what's that going to be with RAW image? I mean, that's huge depending on what camera you're using. And it also, depending on what resolution you set it as, because with this new firmware, you can shoot 3K video so far. It's still not stable.
3K out of the camera.
3K out of the camera.
Cool.
So you can set custom resolutions on there, 1:1 crop modes, 2.5K, 3K. And basically what that's doing is letting you shoot 3K, but it's dropping frames. So it's not very stable yet. But I am confident that Magic Lantern will crack that and we'll probably be able to push through that.
That's pretty
cool. And put it on an
cool.
official release. And then they're also comparing it to the Blackmagic Cinema camera. They're saying it's better looking than that. It's better for post, stuff like that. And also, speaking of individual RAW files, it pops them out as DNG and ProRes 444 files.
That's pretty good.
So basically you would just have to, there's software out there now that they have that will put them all into a video clip and you can put in After Effects, Premiere, whatever, Final Cut. Yeah.
Is that what we got for photo news this week?
That's pretty much what we got, yeah.
I find that monkey thing to be interesting. I want to check out those photos.
Yeah.
All right,
they're
Steven.
terrible.
They're terrible?
They're terrible.
Let's do a rapid fire critique of those one
right.
day. All right, thank you for bringing us the news. Check out the news on FroKnowsPhoto.com/podcast for this week's episode. You can see all of the news that we talked about and more there, and follow the website. We're going to try on Saturdays to put up a photo news video where Steven does a highlight of what has happened during the week or weeks, depending on how often we put them out, and we will go from there, putting those up on the website because it's important to read some of the photo news that is out there and going on. So let's move on to the next note that I have. I have an update for Adobe Creative Cloud. I think we need to talk about it a little more because last week I put it out and my phone is ringing in my pocket. It's vibrating. I should have taken that out. But I'm going to use my phone for something later. Creative Cloud. There were a lot of people yelling and bitching that, oh, it's too expensive and I don't want it and this is going to add to piracy. Let me just tell you something about piracy. It's not going to be any different than it was before. If people are going to steal it, the people that had the cracked copies before are going to continue to get the cracked copies. They're not going to turn around and purchase it. But I don't fully agree with everything that they're doing there. But I also realize that $50 a month for somebody that uses 3, 4, 5, 6 of the different apps that they let you use is a really good bargain. I was talking to my buddy Adam Rosenberg over at lunch the other day. He uses Illustrator, he uses InDesign, he uses Photoshop, he uses Lightroom. Well, he uses 4 of those programs already, so that's worth it for him. But he's also in a business, and it makes it well worth it for him. But before I jump into the pricing that I think it should be, everybody seems to be confused, and I was confused at first about the name, Adobe Creative Cloud. To me, that meant that I would log into adobe.com/Creative Cloud or wherever it is, and that is where I would access the software, meaning it was stored in the cloud, and I wouldn't be downloading anything. I thought that you would process it there through their processor, but then you would need to be connected to the internet. You need to have a fast connection. You need to worry about all of that stuff, and that's just, not what I'm looking to do. Actually, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to have Adobe Creative Cloud. Anyway, whatever. Steven's confusing me because he's walking around. Steven, stop confusing me with your walking around. Yeah, sorry. Thanks. Getting in my sight lines. We'll do it live. No. Do I walk around in the background going la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da? No. We're through. You'll never work in Hollywood again. Does anybody know what that is? Anybody? Anybody out there know what that is? They do that on Smodcast all the time, Hollywood Babylon. But it's Batman. What's his name? Christian Bale, when he flipped out on stage for people, on the movie set for Terminator when somebody was walking around. I know, I digress. Back to Adobe Creative Cloud. So I thought it was a weird name because it confused you, but you don't actually access the software in the cloud. You download it to your computer. It's just called Creative Cloud. That's what you do. So you can download the software on whatever computer you're on. You access that software with your login. So that means if you're at Uncle Joe's house, you can download the software to Uncle Joe's computer as long as it can handle it, and you log in with your account, and you have all of your presets and quick keys, and you're off to the races doing your work. So that's good. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be pirated a hell of a lot more. I think it's going to be pirated the same amount. It's just the people that weren't going to buy it weren't going to buy it. But what I think they need to do is they already have an Adobe Elements, Photoshop Elements. I think you need an Adobe Creative Cloud Lite. You need something that is less powerful, doesn't have all the bells and whistles that all the pros need, but it's just enough for the tweakers out there, the amateurs, the beginners, the people that are the weekend warriors who just want to edit their files from time to time. So I think that should be $7.99 to $9.99 as a subscription. I think more people would do it if it was something like that. And, and all they would be losing out on is just a little bit of some of the features that some of the features that the full Creative Cloud offers them. So an Adobe Creative Cloud Lite is something that I think they will probably look into for all of the people that are up in arms that can lease it for a little bit less, but don't need all of the bells and whistles. So that's it. We're going to put the Adobe Creative Cloud to rest for now and move on to the next thing. The D7100. That is the camera that I'm working with right now. I am testing it out. Nikon sent it over for me to play with and do a full review. I am really taking a deep look at this. I took it out to the concert the other day, and I shot that full Radio 104.5 birthday show with Steven, and used the Hebrew Trinity, 14 to 24, 24 to 70, 70 to 200, because I wanted to put Pro Glass on it. I shot a little bit of video, not a lot. Mostly did stills because I only had 3 songs to shoot of each band, so I couldn't really shoot a little bit of both because I wanted to focus in on the images. So far, the image quality looks really good. The things, when they're tack sharp with the 70 to 200, look tack sharp. The autofocus is fast. edge-to-edge autofocus, meaning your focus points go all the way to the edge of the camera. The colors look great. The files are huge. You're still looking at a 30 to 33 megabyte RAW file, and that's a compressed RAW file because it's a 24 megapixel camera. The video looked fine, really easy to work. If you've used a Nikon, you know how to use this camera. Not very hard at all. Were there any issues? Slightly, but it wasn't the camera's fault. I have something going on with my 24 to 72.8. The back focusing from that is killing me. And it's only when I'm shooting wide that if I'm focused in on the main subject in the middle, and I know I'm focused on him, I know that the point is right on the guy's face or right on his chest, and it's focusing 10 or 15 feet on the background singer, I know there's a problem. So I've got to send that lens back into Nikon, get them to tweak that, and really try to find out if it's a bad lens. Now, what makes it bad? Let me just talk about that. This lens is 6 years old. There can be issues. There can be things that go bad over time. I know that the Canon version 1 24 to 72.8 had a plastic thingamabobber inside that would warp over time, causing you to get less than tack sharp images. I think they've corrected that in their second edition. Nikon is due for a 24 to 70 update. What would be cool is a 24 to 120.2.8 or a 24 to 105.2.8. I think that would be even better. Could you imagine a 24 to 105.2.8? Steven, that sounds like fun, doesn't it? What? Oh, he's shaking his head. Yeah, 24 to 70... 24 to 105 would be a pretty killer range for a 2.8 lens. But, we'll see. It's 6 years old. I may need a new copy because I've used it a ton. So we need to figure that out and go from there. Steven, what time are we at? 20-something? 23 minutes. I'm going to keep talking because we've got Flying Solo coming up. Hold on. I'm drinking water, everybody. So next up, I've got a piece of gear I want to talk about. It's been sitting here on my mic stand the whole day. Or the whole time we've done this. This is a Rode microphone. This is the SmartLav inside this bag. And before I take it out and I'm going to plug it in and use it, we're going to do a full review of the SmartLav. A few months ago, Rode announced this microphone that is meant to plug into your iOS device or into your Android device. Because they came out with a free app. There's also a pay app that gives you more information, more controls over your audio. But it's an inexpensive solution for people that don't want to spend $600 for a wireless microphone like I have for my Sony. So this is a $60, if you guys are watching, if you're listening at home, I'm showing this. It's a $60 lavalier microphone that plugs right into the bottom of your iPhone or top or iPad or wherever your iOS device has it, because it can work with 3GSs. It plugs into the bottom, you plug into the app, and you have basically a wireless microphone. The only thing you have to do is now sync the audio with your camera. So that's just something that I recommend you clap before you do so that you can easily find that audio in the computer that you put it together. The thing is, we know this is going to be better than the on-camera microphone. We know that on-camera microphones are really, really terrible. And I'm just doing a little quick fix on it, putting it back into its place because it slipped a little bit. But I have high hopes. Well, I don't have extremely high hopes. I have hopes that this is a suitable solution for people that have suitable solution for people who wanted something to record better audio than what the camera could do at a sub $100 price. I don't think it's going to be the greatest microphone in the world, like matching my Sony. I don't think it's going to match it exactly, but I think it's going to be pretty good. What we're going to do in a review, and the full review will be up on the website, we're going to compare the Rode. Oh, I should have plugged this in, right? Steven, you're supposed to tell me I should have plugged this into the bottom of the thing this whole time I'm talking. So there's an app. I'm going to plug into it. I plug into the app. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to put this on my lapel because I'm wearing a lapel. I'm wearing an iShoot Raw shirt. Hold on. I'm just going to clip it on. I'm going to attempt to clip. Steven, does it look good? Is it clipping on pretty good? Looks good. All right. So there, I've got that. Now I'm going to go into my app. I'm going to go to my recording. I'm going to hit new recording, plus sign. And I'm going to hit, what am I doing here? Hello? What do I need to do? No, it won't let me record. Maybe because it's on silent? Oh, there it is. Boom. Oh, I had to plug it in all the way. So there it is. I'm going to hit record, and now I am recording. For those at home, you can probably watch these levels bounce back and forth on the phone. So it's an iOS app. You can even turn off the phone and it will still continue to record. So I'm just going to leave this to record. We're going to use this in the full review just to put it together. We know it's not going to sound as good as the microphones that we use for the podcast because that's not what it's meant to do. It's a much smaller microphone, but I'm thinking it's going to be pretty good to throw in the bag. If you're doing an interview, we know the problem that people have with the on-camera microphones, the ones that's built in. You hear the focus motors, you hear the zooming, it picks up all the noise around you. So for simply doing interviews with people, to put this microphone on them, plug it into your phone, and then sync it later for $60 sounds like it's going to be a very, very suitable and recommendable solution. But we're going to put it through its test. What we're going to do is compare it to the Sony just for fun, just to see the difference so you can hear what the $600 microphone offers you and what a $60 microphone offers you. But again, take that into consideration. There's a big difference between $60 and $600. So other than that, I'm looking forward to playing with it. I think it's going to be interesting to have in the bag. And again, it's $60. It's almost like one of those things that as long as it gets a good rating, you probably will want to keep it in your bag at all times because you never know in this day and age where you're going to want to record yourself doing a video. I mean, I know for myself, and then we're going to move on, that when I started recording videos back in the day, I used the in-camera microphone. And very early on, I knew I needed a better solution. I could afford the $600 at that point, or I made that investment. But if I couldn't, this would have been a perfect solution for me. For $60, it would have gotten me better audio than what I would have gotten out of the camera. So, Steven, it's time to fly solo, isn't it? Can you cue the flying solo music? We don't have any. That is what I need. I need some flying solo music. And we need to cue segment sounds. Ari, when you're listening to this later, we need some segment music. Can you do that? Oh, by the way, we just picked up a company that asked us if we wanted to use their royalty-free music, Steven. It's usually $80 a track. They're going to let us have access to their entire catalog so that we can use it in all our videos and all the shows. And so maybe we'll find an audio there and we'll splice it together and it's be like, now it's time to fly solo, just let your soul glow. You know, do all of that type of thing. All right, should I turn off this microphone or let it continue to record? What do you think? Let it continue? Steven's the audiophile. He's the audio engineer here. He knows what he's talking about because he played with Paramore sliders before. All right, let's fly solo. Throw that paper over there. And it's time. We got Shelly Sherwood. Shelly is a nice Fro reader. She came out to the San Francisco boot camp. Let's see. Explain back button focus and its advantages and when to use it, please. She said, please. She forgot her period. Or maybe I forgot the period. I don't know. So back button focus. It seems like a lot of Canon shooters use back button focus more so. I know that I used it on a Canon before. You basically, instead of holding the shutter speed halfway down, the back button is either continuous as you hold it in, or you take your finger off when it's in focus and you just move, and then it won't move the focus. Then you shoot a picture. But what I never understand is, can you hold the focus button at the same time in the back and shoot pictures at the same time? You can. Steven's giving me the nod. It just seems like it's too much work to do, in my opinion. Now, I do use back button focus for shooting video because it's much easier to do that than to hit the shutter and accidentally take a picture. So it's personal preference. I know that you picked up a 6D. It's probably really good for when continuous happens and single stuff happens basically around the same time. So you can go from continuous to single without doing too much because you either hold your finger back on that button the whole time or you take it off when you're ready to be locked in focus. Ryan O'Dornanen. I'm going to be flying all the way from Ireland to New York in August, and I'm going to visit Philly. Congratulations for visiting Philly. Can I gate crash an episode of RAWtalk with you? And I promise I'll make you a big pot of Irish stew in the loft. It will be glorious. Seriously, though, we'll love to help out or even just have a coffee if you can manage it. I'm sure we can manage it. Just let me know. Email me, Jared, at FroKnowsPhoto.com when you're coming to town. I've met up with other readers before when they've come to town, and we've hung out. I've even invited one back here. This gentleman came to town. He wanted to see the loft, and I was like, okay, but he couldn't make it. So, oh well. Next, Chase Griffin Photography, just starting out. I know you get these questions all the time, but I am thinking about trying a different approach. The following business model is for portrait shoots, not weddings or anything of that sort. No session fees, no minimum order, but I jack up the prices a little in the print or digital download portion of the process. What are your thoughts on this, good or bad or ugly? Good, bad, or ugly. I'm going to have to go with terribly ugly. The reason I'm going to go with terribly ugly with this is because back in the day, they used to jack up the prices of prints. Anybody who's anybody knows that prints are not expensive any longer. You can go to adoramapics.com and get an 8x10 for $1.99, and they're going to wonder, well, but I could order that for myself for $1.99. And I just think you need to make some money where you can. My favorite way of doing things is a package deal. This is what it's going to cost for me to photograph. This is what you're going to get. A couple of prints, a couple of files to put on Facebook, and whatnot. Find out what price works best for you. But jacking up the price of prints, a lot of people are just going to want the digital files, and I don't think they're going to pay you $400 for them. They're going to think that that's exorbitant instead of saying, oh, my time is worth X. The photo shoot is included. The travel time is included. The editing is included. All of this could be yours on FlexPay for 4 easy payments of $100. But if you call now, I will throw in a bonus CD of your images, which I wouldn't do because I don't do CDs anymore. I would throw in a bonus something. I'll give you a free 8x10 print because free will take you further than charging $40 for an 8x10 print. It costs you $1.99. So even if you printed 5 of them and included that, it's $5.99. I'm going to include 5 prints. It cost me like $10 or less, and the value is $100. So to say to them, it's $400, but I'm including $100 in print value right here for you, that's going to sound better. Right, Steven? Yep. All right. Let's see. That was Chase Griffin. Oh, also, what would it take to do a boot camp in my neck of the woods? The neck of the woods being Alaska. It would take getting enough people for us to go to Alaska. If we've got Alaskan readers, let us know. We will, you know what I haven't done in a while? I haven't done secret words. If you guys still hear secret words that happen, secret phrases, things like that I say that just come out of nowhere, then, like Stevens played with Paramore's sliders. That would be a good one. If you see them, post them up on the Twitter and things like that. Christian Grace. If you shoot live concerts, how do you prepare yourself before the live show at home? Well, this is what I do. I make sure I have all my gear. I make sure that the batteries are charged. I make sure the cards are formatted. I make sure the lenses are clean. I make sure they're in my bag. Then I make sure I have my earplugs because I always need my earplugs. And I get into the mentality that I'm going out to shoot. I'm going out to photograph this band. I study some of their videos to see which hand they hold the microphone with, so I know which side of the stage to be on. I look at, the videos are important to study because then you can see the lighting, you can get an understanding of what the artists do. So like if it's 21 Pilots, you know that at some point somebody's going to do a backflip off of something. So then you know you need to be prepared for that, which means you should consider having a higher a higher shutter speed, which may in turn mean a higher ISO. So those are all the things that go through my mind. I just think that's some important stuff there to think about. Junior Wyatt. Would selling a D700 to buy a D600 be a wise move? No, not really. I don't think that's a wise move. I think that the D700 is a solid camera. And with that said, if you need video capability, then maybe you should consider going into getting that type of camera. So right now, no. If you're just doing stills, the D700 is a solid piece of gear. I know that Fusco, the guy we had on here once, shoots in the pit still with his D700. Great high ISO capability. I think 4,000 or 5,000 ISO is where that one's solid at. You get great colorful and sharp images from it. So no, I don't think I would do that. Let's see. Joaquim Lehman. Concerts. Single point focus and not getting the shot because relocating focus point or complete autofocus and be lucky or focus manually. How do you do it? This is how we do it. You and me together. This is how we do it. It's Friday night and the mood is right. I'm Montel Williams and I stood 6'8". I don't even know how the song went. because that's how he did it. How do I do it? I use either continuous focus on 9 focus points. I don't really use the 21 because I don't want it jumping around too far. Then I go into single focus for if the artist is just standing there and not really moving around. And then I never go into manual. I don't go into manual because I can't track fast enough manually to try to freeze these guys if they're running around. So that is what I do. I use continuous focus if they're running around a lot. If they stand still and they're not moving, then I switch into single. But with the autofocus, it's 9-point dynamic. That's what I like to use. And then moving on to the next one. Darren Altman, how was it using the 14-24 on the 7100, the D7100? I thought it was great. It's a pretty good range. 14 times 1, I think it's a 21 millimeter lens. So it's a 21 to 50 something. And that, yeah, it's a 21 to about 60 millimeters, I think, if my math is correct in my head. So that I liked. I thought it was great. It focused fast. It's an ultra wide angle lens. Now it's very expensive. It's just as expensive. Actually, it's more expensive than the camera, but it worked really well. Steven, start recording your camera because I'm going to draw you in a minute for one of the questions. So here's the next question. Ed Krisak, do you wear protection? Yes, I wear protection. But do you wear protection shooting weddings? Earplugs. Ha, 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 ha. Actually, it's a funny question. It's a good question to ask because if you've ever shot a wedding, they're loud. Now, not the ceremony part, but the part where you're listening to the music or they're announcing, and many times you are standing in front of the speakers. So yes, earplugs on a wedding become a necessity when you are shooting the reception and you have to park yourself right in front of the speakers. They get really loud, and ears are very important. I know that I wear earplugs at every single show I go to. I haven't shot a show without earplugs. I got those Etymotic Research earplugs. They're like $12.99, but they're a hell of a lot worth it, better than using the foam. Steven, what earplugs do you use?
I just magically reappeared.
Yeah, what do you use? The crappy earphones? I
use either or. I have this really nice pair. I forget the name of it, but I actually just bought them about a year ago, and they were like $15. I forget the name of them, but they're decent pairs.
Are they Etymotic?
No, they're not Etymotic.
But did I say it wrong?
I don't know. I might have said it wrong. But I just buy the cheap like CVS brand or generic brand.
They're bad for your ears.
They work fine.
But they're bad for your ears. I read a study, Stephen, by Mr. Jonathan Applegate, who said that the audio, what happens, I don't know the guy's name, but I read a study on him, and it says that what happens is that the audio bounces around off the foam, which is even worse for your ears than if you kind of weren't wearing them. Now, I don't fully believe in that because you're still blocking noise out, but they're not as good as if you had those 3-step ones that really cut down on the noise. And for the shows, your ears are extremely important.
I agree. So I've only shot like 1 or 2 shows without earplugs.
One of my first shows.
Yeah, me too. Same thing.
Counting Crows.
And after I Jim Eat World for me, and after I realized that, I never shot a show without earplugs.
Does Wiener wear earplugs?
That's a good question. I don't know. He might, but
I don't know. He's old school.
He probably doesn't.
He's probably deaf
already. Probably can't even hear anyway.
But Scott Wiener, he's a photographer in Philly that's been doing it since '76. I'm going to try and have him on the RAWtalk because he has massive amount of stories.
Oh yeah.
But before we're not even going to talk about him. But yeah, earplugs are extremely important. So I would say wear earplugs for concerts. For weddings because they're like concerts. So we got JB Fletcher. When is the BlackRapid strap Fro edition coming out? I really want to get one as soon as they come out. Well, lucky for you, I have the prototype, and I've been wearing it out to shoot. Steven, did you see me wearing it?
I have.
Don't tell him anything about it. Did it look cool?
It looks awesome.
Does it like?
It looks really cool.
It looks good, and better than looking good is it works well.
Yeah.
It's my own custom design. It's based off of the RS Sport strap, but it has FroKnowsPhoto tweaks on it, a color scheme that I like for
a lot.
I like the color scheme too because it's about standing out. So when we have it, before we have it, we're gonna put it up for a pre-sale. There's probably gonna be a bunch of good goodies for doing the pre-sale because you're gonna have to wait a couple weeks for it to come in from BlackRapid because they're gonna be sent to me. But I will be the only person that has this limited edition FroKnowsPhoto I Shoot Raw edition BlackRapid strap, and that's what I got, Steven.
So cool.
You wanted to wear it
It's
too.
so cool. I want it.
I even had when I go backstage
Yeah.
and we've got different people shooting photos back there. I'm known by a lot of those guys as Fro, and one guy's like, "Where can I buy that strap?" I'm like, "It's not out yet. This is the only one that exists.
Limited edition. Only
Limited.
one in the world.
It is the only one. I'll be your number one, number one." That's a Justin Bieber song, right? You shot Bieber.
I wouldn't know. I
All
shot
right.
him, but I don't know his songs.
All right, moving on. Hey, Jared, FroKnowsPhoto. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on Instagram photographers. Is it okay to use a DSLR or just stick to the phone camera? Unfair advantage. I don't think there's anything as an unfair advantage. It's Instagram. You can do whatever the hell you want, Steven. I'm going to turn off I don't want to kill my Rode recording here. It's been recording for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's still going. I'm going to hit stop. And so my Rode microphone, all the levels look pretty interesting. Steven and I will analyze this, but I am done recording with the Rode microphone, so I'm going to just leave it on and just hang it here. But it's going to be interesting to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I think I know what it's going to sound like compared to these,
Yeah.
but anyway, let's get back. I'll get back to this question. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on Instagram? So back in the day when Instagram first came out, I was like, anybody that posts a DSLR photo on there is breaking the rules. There are no rules. It's a social network for sharing your photography. Whatever you want to share on there, go ahead and share it and do it. It's a way to get your images out there. So if you put up a photo, and I use Snapseed to edit my photo, which is free from Google, even though I paid for it. I think I paid $5.99 at the time. And how's this camera doing? It's good. This one's good. I paid $5.99 for it back in the day, and now it's free. So it's Snapseed. And then I take it into Square Ready. I think it's SQUAREADY. So it's like spelled weird, but you can find it. And then if it's a full frame shot that I took, then I will leave the white border and upload that to Instagram. Sometimes you just shoot with Instagram. I just like having the ability to edit in Snapseed. It's almost like having a raw file to edit in, and that's why I use Snapseed. So I don't think it's cheating. I get a little upset at times when you look at photographers who are not photographers and they've got 500,000 followers and they're being flown around the world to shoot photos now. Hey, they did something right. I don't fault them for that at all. I can be a little jealous, as many people can be, but you can't fault somebody for turning a success into something, or turning something into a success. I don't get upset or angry about that. Next question, Lee Churchill. As you are doing the film project, will you be trying out any negative scanners? No, I probably won't try out negative scanners any longer because most of them are SCSI. They're like SCSI negative scanners, and nobody has a SCSI port anymore on any of the new computers. I went to a guy who was selling his studio, and he had a SCSI one there. I was like, wow, this was a $900, $1,000 scanner, Coolpix scanner, a Coolscan from Nikon. They were awesome, but unless you're going to come up and hack it and be able to hook a USB cable up to it somehow, nobody's really going to use these film scanners anymore. But my guy at Newtown Camera, Jim, he's got his Noritsu machine, and it scans your images right to the computer from there. Keegan Manu, because it's MONCEAUX, Manu. What is the most moving and emotional photograph you've ever taken? I'm going to go with the series of photos I took of my mom. You can see that at FroKnowsPhoto.com/about. Those are pretty emotional images. I don't think I've shot anything, weddings don't even come close to shooting an emotional thing like that. That's what I shot. Dakota Corbin, what do you use for printing your merch apparel, or who do you use? I use a company out of a local company because I try to keep it all at home. We try to made in America as much as possible. Sure, the shirts are not made in America, the actual material themselves, but the place that I purchased the shirt from, they are an American company. I keep those people in business. And the local place that I use that prints my merch is a small mom and pop local place. So 2 out of 3 isn't bad. I'm doing my part to keep the jobs in-house. And even if it costs me a little more, it's well worth it. And honestly, today it does not cost you nearly as much as it used to compared to China to get quality product, one, and the costs are about the same. Because if you outsource to China something like shirt printing, and you do a run of like 1,000 shirts and they mess it up, it takes like a month to get your shirts from the boat. It costs you, I mean, it's just, you don't know what you're going to get. But with my local guy, if something gets messed up, I'm sorry I messed it up. I'll have it done. It's on me. I'll make it happen. I'll make it right. So that's why I love working. The local place is called Scream Graphics, Graphix. If you just Google Scream, SCREAM, and GRAPHIX, they can help you out. Keep in mind that if you do have a local place, you save a lot of money on shipping, because shipping a lot of shirts becomes costly and expensive. That's how I keep the price of the shirts down. Store.FroKnowsPhoto.com for all of your shirts. I shoot raw, FroNation, whatever. That's how I keep the price down, is I don't have to worry about the shipping to me, because that could be $300-$400. That doesn't just eat into your profits. That makes you raise the price of your shirt to make the same amount. That's why I'm able to keep the price down. Corey Huchlowski. Corey Huchlowski. Hey, Jared, I'm a newbie to photography, and I have this all the time. So it made me wonder. God, I wish this would read better. Have you ever seen, I'm going to say seen instead of saw, seen another photographer and had gear envy? If so, when and what was it? The only time I had gear envy was before I owned gear, and I was in junior high, and I would watch TV like the US Open for tennis, and you'd see all those white lenses, and I'd be like, I want one of those. I don't know what they are. I don't know how much they cost, but that's what I want. That was my first time having a desire for a piece of gear. And I didn't know that it was Nikon. I didn't know that it was Canon. Most of the time you saw a lot of the white lenses, that was Canon. So that's what I wanted. I thought that's what I wanted. Then I went into junior high, and I was going to take some pictures of for the yearbook, and they handed me a point and shoot camera, and I looked disappointedly at the guy, and I said, "But I wanted one of those white lenses." And then he informed me that those are very, very expensive. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm shooting with a point and shoot camera," and that's what I did. And that is the moral of the story. Phil Abercrombie. Hey, Jared. I would like to start by thanking you for, I can't read, I'm blind. Thanking you for, gosh, thank you for all the great videos. I purchased your newbie guide and must say it has helped me out a lot. I am now shooting in full manual mode. However, I can't get clear images above 1600 ISO. Seems to have too much noise or grain. I am shooting with the D7000. Think it's time to upgrade, or am I being too picky? Well, I've shot that camera at 4000 ISO with a 300 2.8, with a 70 to 200 2.8, with a 24 to 70 at 4000 ISO, and I did not have any problems. I thought it was perfectly fine at 4000 ISO. So yes, you probably are being extremely nitpicky at 1600. Now, when you say you don't get clear images, that could be a focus issue. That could be an exposure issue. There's a whole lot of things in combination that could help, that could cause this. If you are getting a lot of noise at 1600, it may be because you are bringing your image back too far. The more you correct the raw file, the more your exposure is off, the more issues you're going to have with your images. So keep that in mind. But no, I think the 7000 is perfectly fine up to 4000 ISO. You need to go back and review. Send me a picture and let me know what your settings are, and I'll try to figure out what you're doing if you're doing something wrong. Juan Van Staden. Hey, my question is, what is the best marketing tool to use when starting out a new business? I know word of mouth is the best, but is there any other tool that works just as well? Well, your work. 1, word of mouth is great. 2, for marketing purposes, back up your back up the word of mouth with quality work. If you don't have quality work and people see that, then they're not going to hire you. It comes down to quality work. If you don't have a quality website or a web presence or a place for people to easily consume your content, something other than MySpace or Facebook, then that is bad marketing. So you need to have a good presence. You need to interact. And I know I sound like a broken record that I say the same thing week in and week out, but there are no secrets to marketing and social media. If you stay in contact with people, if you interact with people, if you're real, if you're honest, and you give out good information and you have quality work, then people are going to look at you as if you are an authority in the field. So word of mouth is great, but backing up your work with quality images is even more important. Let's see. Sean Blackburn. I'm looking for a photography backpack. What bag would you recommend? Need it to fit laptop D3 and a couple of lenses, including Nikon 70 to 200. Thanks. So This is a good question, and I usually don't talk a ton about gear, but I was working at Alan's Camera the other day. I worked on Saturday and Monday. I want to thank Jeff for driving 8 hours to come out and see us, by the way. He drove 8 hours. Steven, he drove 8 hours from West Virginia to come out to Alan's Camera to shop and, well, more to see me, which was cool. He and his wife. Thank you guys for coming out. But I worked because I helped Alan. He was out of town and just asked for a favor. So I was there, and somebody came in looking for a backpack, and they had this big backpack that they wanted to exchange because it was too big. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, well, what are you taking? Because she wanted to fly with it, and she was worried about what was on the plane. She had a D50. That's right, a D50. She had a 70-200 2.8. She had another lens. She wanted to take a laptop, and she wanted to take some other random things in a bag. And I was like, wait a second. I've got my bag here. I've got my Think Tank Urban Disguise 35 version 2. That bag with backpack straps, I can get the Hebrew Trinity in that. So everything you're asking for here, I get in there the 14-24, 24-70, which is on the D4, and the 70-200 all fit in the main compartment. Also fitting into the main compartment is an iPad, and then the laptop fits in the back. Then you get the backpack straps. Then you've got a front pouch where you can put more stuff. I usually put another lens in there. You can put another body, but I actually put toiletries in there for when I go away. So that's what I have. I think that's a great bag to check out. Allen's has them on their website. It's the Think Tank Photo Urban Disguise 35 version 2. It's a killer bag. Check it out. Matthew Pyle. Hey, Jared, do you have any tips for creating an easy-to-present digital portfolio? I already have printed portfolios and albums, but when it comes to sending a digital portfolio, I currently rely on sending potential clients a link to an online gallery, and I'm not sure if that's the right way. Any recommendations? I think that's the right way. I mean, that's what I do. I send people to a link to a page because that is where my portfolio resides. Those links I send are directly to what I want those readers to consume or what I want those people to consume. Steve, how much time are we at? Just so I know. 52 minutes, and this thing's still recording good? So, back to that question. I think it's important to have your digital presence online and to have images ready to send somebody to a link to a portfolio. 20 images, 25 images, try not to go over that, make it concise. People want to see that. Like I said a couple weeks ago on my website, I have the Modest Yahoo video that I don't have the photos from the video located. So people have to watch that video in order to see those images. I don't think that's a good thing to do. I need to update it. I need to put the images there. I need to make it cleaner. I'm going to go look at a photofolio. Other options out there that aren't $1,000 plus $17 a month. You can look at somebody like SmugMug. SmugMug is a place that you can build your website. You can sell images on it, so it can kind of pay for itself over time. And it's a pretty good turnkey solution that's pretty affordable, I believe, and worthwhile to check out. So check them out, or just send people a link to your portfolio. Karen Bahada, Bhatia. Karen Bahada. What is your favorite brand of lens cloth? Well, my favorite lens cloth would be the FroKnowsPhoto iShoot Raw lens cloth in gold. Well, I use this one it's Schneider Optics. They make the lens cloths that I use or sell on the website at store.froknowsphoto.com. I did some research into what makes a lens cloth a better lens cloth. And what I found is that you'll notice with my lens cloths that they have a sewn edge opposed to the crinkly cut edge. If you've got the crinkly cut edge, those are less quality lens cloths. They tend to fray. They tend to tear more. They tend to be lower quality lens cloths. So I try to use Schneider Optics because they are a higher end lens cloth, and you can see that they're sewn. Take a look at those cloths if you have them. Are the edges of yours sewn all the way around? You can still wash them and dry them and just follow the instructions and clean them. But here's a good idea. Here's a good recommendation for anybody with lens cloths. Do not clean the LCD screen on the back of your camera with your lens cloth. Do not clean your glasses with the lens cloth. If you're going to also use that same lens cloth to clean your lens, because now you're transferring the oils that come off your face onto your lens. That's right, oils come off your face, quote unquote. Then you are taking those oils and putting them directly on the front of your lens. You don't want to do that, so keep that in mind. That's my recommendation there. We only have a few more questions here, and then we're going to wrap it up. Izerahuth. Should I wait to see what the rumored D4X offers or just get the D800E now? Come on. Can we stop worrying about rumors? What is your, it's just like, should I wait to see what the rumored? This has been rumored forever. Everybody's rumoring the D4X because there was a D3X. If it comes out, then it comes out. But do you know how expensive it's going to be? You're talking about a $3,200 D800E. You're talking about an $8,000 D4X. There's a big difference in price. You can wait forever, but what are you shooting with right now? So unless something is inevitable, it's inevitable. If it's inevitable, then you can wait. Like, when certain things are coming. We don't really talk about rumors too much on the site because it's just like they're rumors. When they're fact, we'll tell you about it. But I will tell you this. Usually the rumor websites are spot on 6 hours before something comes out. Right before something comes out, they're usually spot on because somewhere in Europe something leaked. But a lot of this stuff where it's just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. So really, get a camera, shoot it, get good glass. That's my recommendation, and stop waiting for stuff to come out. Jason Ragsdale, what do you do to an elephant with 3 balls? ? Well, you walk it and pitch to the rhino. I actually laughed at that. I had to read it 3 times to figure out that it was a baseball reference. So the elephant comes up to the plate. It's 3-0 to the base to the elephant. Well, you walk him and you face the rhino up next. That's not a question. That was just a sidestep. Nick St. Dennis. Oh, that's like a good porn name. Steven, do you have a porn name, by the way? You don't have a porn name? I think everybody needs to have a porn name. So there's ways of figuring out porn names, and no, I don't have this as my notes because this just came to my head. But a lot of people are like, you take your first dog's name and your last name would be your street address. Well, you could do that. But I made up my own name a long time ago if I was to be a porn star. And do you want to know what it is? Steven, do you want to know? Are you shaking your head? He's shaking his head. You can verbally, audibly let me know because you're behind that light. Well, so my name would be Leroy, not Leroy. It's L-A, capital R-O-Y, last name Ballstein. Leroy Ballstein. So what would your porn name be, guys? Hashtag RAWtalk porn name, and then your porn name, just for fun. I want to hear what it is. But I guess I should get back to Nick St. Dennis's. The reason I went off on that tangent, Steven, is because if you've ever watched Kevin Smith's movie, Zach and Mary Make a Porno, is it Zach and Mary Make a Porno? Or is that Zach and Nora? No, that was Zach and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and it was Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and Zach and Mary Make a Porno. There's a guy, Randy St. Randy. He plays a gay porn actor in that movie, and he's like, "Excuse me, Monrovers, I am in love with Bobby Long." It's just such a funny scene. Have you seen the movie? You need to check it out. It was, a lot of people panned it, but I found it to be hilarious. I watched it with my dad. I guess I should get to Nick St. Dennis's question now. Now that we've gone off on a porn tangent, what's your best way of inspiring yourself when things get stagnant? I like to look at old photo books. I like to study the old photographers. I get a lot of exuberance from seeing what they used to do with their work, the images that they captured. That inspires me. Or I just throw on Almost Famous and watch that for the umpteenth time, and then I'm like, oh, I want to do that again. So that's how you find your inspiration again, is look at some of the other work out there and go, wow, this really is good. Or watch a great movie like Finding Forrester. Steven, you seen Finding Forrester? That's great, fantastic. I love Finding Forrester. Everybody should watch that, because what you should look for in movies, everything's a perfect shot. They're always framed well. So take a look at that. Sorry, Nick St. Dennis, for going off on that tangent on you. So with the last question, Ian Middleton-Duff. What photography do you enjoy most when not working? Well, that's funny. I mean, everything to me it's not work. Is photography work? It shouldn't be. Sometimes there's work. But what photography do I enjoy most? I enjoy capturing images of people. I enjoy telling photo stories. I enjoy trying to capture images that other people haven't because they either don't have the access or it's just different. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to be the first to capture an image that somebody else hasn't. The only image that you will be the first to capture is if you land on Mars and take a picture of your foot. You will be the first to do that. I'm a big fan of that, Steven. People always pull this crap. First ever to do this. You are not the first ever to do anything anymore unless you walk on the moon, made the first phone call, made the first cell phone call. Then you made the first or took the first Instagram photo or posted the first video on YouTube. You're not the first unless you are actually the first. There's a quote for you. You are not the first unless you are actually the first. I'd rather be the second. Like, look at Hertz or whoever it was. We are the second best. And then they became the first best because who cares? They owned it. We'll work harder for you, I think was their slogan. We work that much harder because we want to be number one. So, yeah, that is going to be it. Don't you tweak my buttons over there, Steven. I'm not done talking yet. I want to thank you guys for listening to Raw Talk episode number 36. It does not have a name as of this time. Had this Rode microphone. I recorded that. Look out for the Rode microphone full-on review coming to you soon. Thanks, Steven, for his Steven news. You can check that out each week or whenever we put it out on FroKnowsPhoto.com. On the front page, there is a photo news link, and that's going to aggregate all of the photo news that you see, so you can find that. Who else can I thank? Allen'sCamera.com. Check him out. Allen'sCamera.com. If you're in the United States, you can buy stuff. But don't forget, subscribe on iTunes because you can be notified first and foremost when the new Raw Talk episodes go live. So you get those downloaded to you. You are the first to get it. You hear that? You are not the first unless you're the first. So in this case, you can get Raw Talk first. And subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. And don't forget the FroKnowsPhoto Beginner Guide to Getting Out of Auto. If you are a beginner, if you have never been out of auto, or if you're not confident with your work and your exposure triangle, you will gain that confidence in the FroKnowsPhoto Beginner Guide, which is a 3-hour guide to helping you get out of auto and stay out of auto. Learn composition, watch me on photo shoots. FroKnowsPhoto.com/guide is your place to go to download that. It's only $67. It's going to save you weeks, months, years of research to find everything that's out there for free, and it's all in one place. So there you have it. That is Raw Talk episode number 36 for this week. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.